Well, Charlie, it was really amazing because they were not letting me film. I was able to get one piece of footage out.
President Zelensky of Ukraine got a roaring applause and introduction from the World Economic Forum head Klaus Schwab.
Mr. President, now on the first official day of the World Economic Forum annual meeting 2022, we convene in Davos at the most consequential geopolitical and geoeconomic moment in the past decades.
Dan Crenshaw recently did an interview where he claims to just really not know anything about the World Economic Forum's Great Reset, and he thinks it's just whatever. You sound crazy talking about it. Just shut up.
You sort of danced around the topic of the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset. We've talked about a little about the COVID conspiracy to shut everything down. We got the border issue at hand.
Yeah.
Where do you see the Great Reset right now, and then where's it going over the next four to 6 years?
I don't know if I danced around it. I just don't know anything about it.
There are a lot of subjects that touch the Great Reset, or at least the philosophy of the Great Reset.
Yeah, I just don't know much about it.
Okay.
And I don't care either.
And we will also cover that World Health Organization pandemic treaty that people have been asking about, and we'll play a clip of that. It's going to be an amazing, amazing show. Action-packed. Hope you stay for the whole. What's going on, folks? I got an action-packed show, a lot of clips to share. Today is an exciting day for the elites of the world. The World Economic Forum Davos is like the Coachella of rich people and political puppets, where they all go to hang out, talk about their vision for the world, and then call you a conspiracy theorist if you dare disagree with their vision for the world. And because they have this collective of powerful people that control major industries, countries, presidents, politicians in both parties, etc., because they have so much influence there, they kind of map out their vision for the world and then call you crazy if you talk about it. I have so many good clips I want to share, but I want to start with this interesting clip of Crenshaw, as I call him, or Dan Crenshaw, acting as if he doesn't even know what the Great Reset is, and it's like this crazy conspiracy thing, sort of, or don't talk about it, it's just the Democrats, you sound crazy. Even though, of course, we know it is a literal book by Klaus Schwab, and there is a whole outline. It's a lot deeper than just the Democratic Party and one party in America, but let's listen to him just pretty much expose himself like he always does, but people still vote for this guy for some reason. Check it out.
You sort of danced around the topic of the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset. We've talked about a little about the COVID conspiracy to shut everything down. We got the border issue at hand.
Yeah.
Where do you see the Great Reset right now, and then where's it going over the next four to 6 years?
I don't know if I danced around it. I just don't know anything about it.
There are a lot of subjects that touch the Great Reset, or at least the philosophy of the Great Reset.
Yeah, I just don't know much about it.
Okay.
And I don't care either. I think we're obsessing over it on the right a little bit. And look, I have been to the website and I saw, this is why people are saying that, because I did look into that. Okay, they say something about a Great Reset. I don't look into it any more than that. Look, it's a bunch of people. It's an organization that has no real power. I mean, yeah, look, there's always going to be people that maybe. I think what they mean by Great Reset is the same thing the Democrats are always saying about what kind of infrastructure they want to invest in, redistribution of wealth, that kind of thing, more open immigration. I mean, it's what you think it is, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think when you call it the Great Reset, it sort of indicates that there's like a secret, power cabal under it all.
Yeah.
And it's not so secret. It's just the Democrat Party. So, again, I just want us to take a step back. It's not a conspiracy. It is a political platform.
Sure.
But we sound a little crazy when we start talking about some sort of secret cabal. Just fight the Democrats. It's the same thing.
All right, so before we show you clips of Jack Posebiec getting detained and Zelensky and Klaus Schwab, a match made in hell, introducing each other, we need to kind of get at what Dan's saying. So he's like, you sound crazy when you talk about the Great Reset because it sounds like a conspiracy theory. Dan is obviously lying. It's a book written by Klaus Schwab, so he's suggesting as if like conservatives and right-wingers just made up this thing, Great Reset, and it's like, yo, don't talk about it. You sound crazy because it's just like you're acting as if it's secret. No, we didn't make this up, dummy. I know you're just lying, but it's like, I don't know if you're dumb or you're lying, but we didn't make up the term the Great Reset. It's a book published by Klaus Schwab where he lays out his agenda. Yes, there's a lot of similarities to the Democratic Party because they're not on our side when it comes to, politics, but it's way deeper than just the Democratic Party. Like, what a lie, or what a simplification to be like, oh, just ignore that. You sound kooky talking about it. And, let's just talk about the Democrats. Let's not talk about the Democrats, because when it comes to certain speech laws, you have 420 people voting for it and only Thomas Massey's against it. So I think it's a bigger issue than just one party or one country, the World Economic Forum. But let's take a look at what it really is, because President Zelensky of Ukraine and Klaus Schwab, they just love each other. Let's listen to them just melt all over each other and talk about how great they are.
Mr. President, now on the first official day of the World Economic Forum Annual Meeting 2022, we convene in Davos at the most consequential geopolitical and geo-economic moment in the past decades. Mr. President, we have all seen the leadership, your courageous leadership. We are eager to hear from you on what lies ahead for your country and its people, your vision for peace in Europe and the international global order, and how we can assist you. Because everybody of us is affected by what's happening in your country. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you. It's a great honor for me, Mr. Chairman, Professor Schwab, President Cassis, ladies and gentlemen. I'm grateful for the opportunity to take part in the discussions at the forum. The main theme for this year's Davos is history at a turning point, government policies and business strategies. This year, the words turning point appears to become more than just a rhetoric figure of speech. This is really the moment when it is decided whether brute force will rule the world. If so, the force is not interested in our thoughts, and there is no need for further meetings in Davos, as there would be no reason for that. Brute force seeks nothing but the subjugation of those it seeks to subdue, and it does not discuss, but kills at once. And Russia does that in Ukraine just as we speak.
That Zelensky guy's pretty good, right? Where do I send money to him? I want to send, Pelosi and McConnell are already sending $40 billion. Okay, I don't have to send money. I guess they're already sending money on my behalf. Good, because I wanted to donate to him. But, he's like, oh man, brute force is not the answer. There's no need for a Davos if we don't solve the problems. It's like, are you the same President Zelensky who's banning 11 political parties? Are you the same authoritarian dictator of Ukraine who has consolidated the media like a communist? Are you the same person who recently passed a law saying that you can seize property of somebody that agrees with Russia? Imagine in America if they said, during 9/11 and when we went to Afghanistan, like, of course, you're not going to side with the bad guys, but at the same time you might say, hey, I don't believe in the invasion, and vice versa, be like, maybe I believe. Like, you're allowed to say, like, hey, I think we shouldn't invade Afghanistan, or you might say we should invade Afghanistan. In Ukraine, you don't have the freedom to disagree with Zelensky's agenda. If you disagree with Zelensky's agenda, which is a large portion of the population, before he stole the next political election, he was like a 50% chance to lose the next election by vote, so he banned 11 11 political parties. Now he can't lose. And they passed a law within the last couple of days where they can seize the property of anybody who agrees with Russia. So that would be like the Democratic Party seizing power, saying every Republican is a foreign agent because they disagree with our foreign policy, and we can now seize your property. So you got to understand there's a reason that Klaus Schwab and Zelensky are friends. There's a reason Pelosi and Zelensky are friends. He's part of the whole little scheme that Dan Crenshaw thinks doesn't even exist, because Dan Crenshaw's in on it. He's like, here, give our money to Zelensky, the dictator. It's like, yeah, is that going to end the war or keep it fueling? They don't care. Zelensky doesn't care about Ukrainians. Biden doesn't care about Americans. It's a match made in hell. It's like, let's sacrifice our own people as the ruble goes up, and we'll just act like we're doing something. But speaking of the World Economic Forum, since at Davos, like Dan Crenshaw doesn't seem to care about, this is where powerful people meet. So conspiracy theories aside and COVID Great Reset aside, you know, what is the World Economic Forum and what's going on there? So it was established decades ago where you just have this forum, a World Economic Forum, where everybody comes together, presidents, politicians, Democrats, Republicans, major businesses, and they kind of talk about their vision for the world. And it's not the same thing as the World Health Organization or the UN, but it's a similar sort of thing where it's like it becomes something bigger than it is, because you get all these powerful people and businesses together. If they have enough real estate in the world market that they can really decide what you can and can't do. Like if Facebook, Google, YouTube all agree that the World Health Organization supersedes your First Amendment and you're not allowed to question them, although it isn't constitutional, Google, Facebook, YouTube, you get what I'm saying? When you do this corporate government merger at places like World Economic Forum, they obviously have power. But, you know, Jack Posebiec, I guess Turning Point sent him out there to report. And this year there's a lot more reporters going out there and being like, hey, I'm going to do some journalism to see what's going on. And apparently, allegedly, Jack got detained, and they have some sort of like police system questioning, you know, journalists maybe that they think are going to cause trouble. So let's just listen. I guess Charlie Kirk brought him on. I just figured it was interesting to play a 2-minute clip and see what's going on there.
Jack Posebiec right here. Jack, I think we finally have some video with you, which is great. How did you break free of this detainment? What did they say? Give us the latest.
Well, Charlie, it was really amazing because they were not letting me film. I was able to get one piece of footage out, but my brother, who's here with me, he came up, he started feeling, and then the great Savannah Hernandez, who's also out here covering the event, she saw my brother and my wife running towards where we were. She didn't even know what was going on, started running along with them, found out what it was, started getting right in the face of the police officers, filming everything that was going on. And the minute they realized that it was becoming more of a thing, that more journalists were starting to take attention to what's going on, they immediately ran back into their police vans and took off within like 30 seconds of her arriving.
So Jack, this is incredible. But they said so clearly that you're not allowed to film, and it's like the more attention there was, they backed off. And explain to this more. This is the World Economic Forum police. They have their own police force. Like, what's going on here? What's going on in Davos? It sounds like it's become like a police state.
Well, it is actually a police state out here right now, because when we asked them, you know, are we being detained? They wouldn't give us any answers. We asked them, why are we being detained? They wouldn't tell us. They said something vague about, well, you've been out here for a while. I said, yeah, there's a lot to cover. There's a lot of footage. There's a lot of news. We're covering the news. Right? We're not doing anything untoward. Certainly not acting suspicious.
So I'm not going to play the whole clip, but I guess, I don't know, they're giving certain journalists trouble, and I don't know, Switzerland's a weird place, Davos is weird, and you get enough powerful people out there, they just have their own sort of system. So semi-interesting. I figure I'd just play a clip. Now, this is really interesting. I know a lot of people have been asking me over the last couple of weeks, what do you think about the World Health Organization treaty? A lot of people have been fear-mongering about it, and here's what I have to say. On my platform, I don't just spread fear, and I'm not trying to tell people to be scared, because there's always going to be something to be afraid of. Be afraid of the ozone layer. Be afraid of the oceans rising. Be afraid of the, it's going to be an ice age. It's going to be a global warming. It's going to be, we're all going to run out. And I'm glad you hear wheat's going to run out in 10 days. It's like, talk to me in 10 days. I bet you have bread at your grocery store. Maybe not. maybe wheat's going to run out and you're going to have to eat something else. But you get what I'm saying. Everybody's always trying to fear. And when it comes to the World Health Organization, I do want to cover it, but I don't buy into all this fear. The World Health Organization has been trying to supersede our sovereignty for decades. I believe that's what they set out to do from the very origin, when it was China, Soviet Union, America, other countries came together. I think it's been a communist jump off the entire time. I don't think they've ever really had good intentions, in my opinion. So it's, I just say to people here, lower the fear. There's always two things in this world. What can you do about it? Then do something about it. And then if you can't do something about it, don't worry about it. But what you're going to find, whether it be the vaccine, whether it be this, whether it be that, I've heard people fear-mongering about the vaccine. Everybody who took it's going to die in 3 months. It never happens. Where I'm like, dude, I get that there is a certain health risk to taking a vaccine, and just like there's a certain health risk to doing a lot of things in this world, certain diets and certain pills you take, where it's like it's up to you and your own sovereignty, in my opinion, to decide what you want to do, and you suffer. But there's always going to be those people that take it to the next level and they just try to panic everybody all the time, and 9 times out of 10 they end up being wrong. So I will cover the World Health Organization situation. I'll play a clip from Tucker Carlson. It's great. But I say to people, don't get caught in this fear porn, because a lot of people like myself, like, yes, this is a big event, so it's going to draw more viewers, but a lot of people, their whole business model is fear. We don't do that here. We talk about self-awareness, self-accountability, being happy, being optimistic. There's no benefit to just scaring the crap out of people, but sometimes people do that because that's how they draw in their audience, freak their audience out, and then a bunch of these neurotic people hit me up all the time. They're like, what? Oh my gosh, every week it's something different. It's like what they were worried about 4 weeks ago. It is what it is. Yeah, the stocks are going to go down. The stocks are going to go up. They're going to screw you over. I'm not saying the world's a great place and it's perfect, but, that's all I'm saying. With this situation, I just felt like the energy's been so bad the last week in my messages. People are like just bugging out, but it's like nothing, it's going to be another power grab, and just like always, life is going to move on. But here's the clip of Tucker explaining what they're plotting over at the World Health Organization, which is, of course, a branch of the United Nations. Different from the World Economic Forum, but kind of similar. We'll talk about it after.
WHO sabotaged the investigation into the origin of the virus by appointing a gain-of-function researcher to lead the investigative team. Pretty shocking if you think about it. And to this day, the WHO still has not acknowledged it did any of that, though it definitely did. Instead, they've continued to praise China's response to COVID as, quote, transparent, which is the one thing it's not. It's almost amusing. But again, it's weird if you think about it. Why would Joe Biden want to join a group that every informed person laughs at? Well, more than a year later, we think we know the answer. The Biden administration is very close to handing the World Health Organization power over every aspect, the intimate aspects of your life. So imagine the civil liberties abuses that you lived through during the COVID lockdowns, but permanent and administered from a foreign country. Here's what we're looking at tonight. This January, the Biden administration submitted a series of proposed amendments to something called the International Health Regulations, the IHR. Now, the Biden administration's amendments, along with those from several other countries, will be combined to create a new global pandemic treaty. We need a pandemic treaty. That treaty is set to be adopted starting this weekend in Geneva at the World Health Assembly. Now, the full text of the treaty is not yet finished, but a WHO working group has summarized what it's going to look like. The document begins by promising to restrict the WHO's authority just to pandemics. Calm down, it's just pandemics. Quote, WHO Secretariat to play the leading, convening, and coordinating role in operational aspects of emergency response to a pandemic, end quote. So don't get paranoid. Someone needs to coordinate the pandemic response globally because it's a global problem. Got it? Settle down, conspiracy nut. But here's the catch. The World Health Organization gets to define what a pandemic is, when a pandemic is in progress, and how long a pandemic lasts. Then you read the fine print and you realize the WHO will have total authority over emergency operations in the United States if there is ever a, quote, public health emergency. Huh? What qualifies exactly as a public health emergency? Well, they don't define that. But they get to decide what a public health emergency is. And then they have total authority. You can see where this is going. Now, the Biden administration has made certain that unelected bureaucrats at the WHO have total authority to declare and define public health emergencies.
So I guess it's another grab by the World Health Organization, and I don't know, like a treaty. We sign treaty with the Native Americans. We don't honor them. We do treaties with Russia. We don't care. So I don't know how much really legislative power that has, but I'll tell you where the real power is. The power's in compliance, and the power's also in, like, for example, in 2020. Okay, the World Health Organization had no legislative authority over America in any sort of meaningful court system way. But what the World Health Organization did have was Facebook, YouTube, Google, Instagram. I mean, the big corporations that own most of the real estate online, they got them to basically be like, so if I question the World Health Organization, even though, no offense, my batting average is way higher than the World Health Organization, I debunked their myths in March, April, May, and then they admitted they were wrong. It's not like I was wrong. They were wrong. They're like, oh yeah, the death rate wasn't that high. I was like, yeah, we knew that, but you were lying. Whatever. It's like Facebook decides, well, it's not a law. It's not the First Amendment that says that you can't question the World Health Organization, but we at Facebook have partnered with the World Health Organization, and we have decided that our partners, the World Health Organization, are more important than you, and if you disagree with them, you disagree with all health. And you hear that type of ego with people like Fauci. He's like, I am science. Questioning me is questioning science. It's like, bro, you're not an inventor. You're not Nikola Tesla. You're no Carrie Mullis. Like, you're a bureaucrat. You're like a government agent who controls the science industry, but you're not like this genius thought wizard that has like revolutionized science. You're just a schmuck, when it comes to like true innovators and zero humbleness, I own science. But that's the type of stuff we have to deal with. So I would say the real way to combat this, you could sign a petition, and I don't know, people are like, sign a petition. Who's going to read my petition? I'm not trying to be a downer, but no one cares. Really, it's just like, don't comply. When it came to the vaccine, I think that was a big test. Some people wanted it. Some people didn't. Some people felt like they had to. But in my experience of people that got like strong-armed into getting it and they didn't get it, I know multiple people that got their job offered back. It was like it was almost like a test where they were like, you're going to be fired if you don't get the vaccine. And then they're like, yeah, I don't want it. And then they're like, oh, we're not going to fire you. And then like 3 months later, they call them back and they're like, oh, we need help because like our company's falling apart. So it's like, it's this moral test where it's like, whether it's the World Health Organization, California, your boss, that's up to you. Nobody could really decide your future. It's really, do you have the discipline and determination or the will and the, are you strong in your convictions or are you not? If you're not strong in your convictions, there's always going to be somebody, whether it's the World Health Organization, Biden, Trump, this person, that person, there's always going to be someone that can maybe tip you over. But if you're firm in your convictions, then nobody can really tell you what to do. So that's what I think, at least when it comes to the World Health Organization. They're going to do power grabs. Democrats are going to do power grabs. Sometimes Republicans are going to do power grabs, and Dan Crenshaw is going to act oblivious. The World Economic Forum is similar to the WHO, where they're these global entities where people hang out, talk about stuff, and then try to supersede what you're trying to do in your own country. Like, you could really listen to people like the World Economic Forum, World Health Organization. They believe in this idea that it's better if the whole world does everything together. It's like, we need to, pandemic, let's all work together. But as a libertarian, a conservative, or a common sense liberal, you have to understand that, yes, it's nice to love everybody, right? It's nice to be open to the world. But at the same time, you don't want to let one person run the whole world. Like, these are old conspiracy theories where it's called, you listen to Biden, he says liberal world order all the time, new world order, liberal world order. It's not a conspiracy theory. They call it a liberal world order because they're trying to order the world in a liberal fashion, and anybody who disagrees, whether it be a Muslim country, a cut-off country, a conservative area where they elect Bolsonaro or Trump and they don't fully play ball, that's the biggest threat to them. They don't like countries, communities, religions, demographics of people who tend to want their own sovereignty, want control over their life, control over their politics. And, in America especially, we value, this is why they hate us so much, we value this idea of like every state's different. We have 50 different states. Texas kind of runs different than Florida, runs different than Kentucky, runs different than California. And then there's national laws that have gone too far, but we really understand that in America. That's why they hate us so much. Like, you have these countries in Europe, they're smaller than Texas, and, they all listen to each other, and, they don't even have like a spine anymore. Like, they barely do their own thing. they have no sovereignty. So it's nice to play along. It's definitely nice to solve global issues, but you don't want a Klaus Schwab or a Tedros from World Health Organization or a Biden or really anybody to say, this is the world order, everybody follow suit, and if you disagree, we're going to come for you. That's kind of what they're trying to build, but the way to reject that is just to know the game that they're playing, say no, and raise awareness to enough people because, in many ways, the pandemic of 2020 was a huge success for them. In other ways, I think they burned out their, value where a lot of people now are tired of it and it wouldn't work a second time. So, I'm not really worried about the World Health Economic Forum or World Health Organization, World Economic Forum. Sorry, I'm like combining them, but it is what it is. They definitely talk, they definitely communicate, they have a lot of power, but I think this at the end of the day, as an American, although all this stuff's going on, I still feel really grateful. We have the internet. For the first time in the world, we have the ability to really counter what they're saying, right? I don't work for Fox News. I don't work for Newsmax or CBS or ABC, but I'm able to reach more people than a lot of these organizations with my own opinion, my own news clips, really a show that I've tailored and created myself. And that's a blessing. So I think the way to really counter this stuff is citizen journalism, paying attention, not stressing yourself out, but also the main thing is just do what you have to do, in America, in the world, there's a bunch of places, communities where you can live the lifestyle that you want. So make a move in your own life. Don't buy into the fear, but do pay attention to these global characters. And I would say the fascinating story of how they've really been able to lobby both sides of politics. This is something Dan Crenshaw doesn't want to talk about, but it's like, he's like, oh, it's just the Democrats. It's like, bro, outside of the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset, let's talk about lobbying, right? Lobbying is when big pharma pays off both sides of politics. Lobbying is when the military-industrial complex buys off both sides of politics. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's well known that there are powerful people, whether it be billionaires or, I would say industries that have decided, what better way to get what we want than to pay both sides of the game. This way, no matter who wins, like when you have an election like John McCain versus Obama or Obama versus Mitt Romney, now we realize what would have been the difference. I didn't really even care about those elections, but looking back on who Mitt Romney really is and who John McCain really was, would there have really even been a difference? We could talk about elections, but here's the thing that a lot of people don't want to talk about. It's like, even if the votes are all perfect, right, and all the machines work and mass mail-in ballots, they don't cheat, they're still kind of rigging both sides of the game. They're all passing speech laws. They're all sending your money to Ukraine. You get rare moments with Trump, but then he flopped like a fish. Mitt Romney and Obama, there is no election. It's the same people, just with different colors on. So I think that's the interesting part. This is why we, Dan, in the conservative side, we want to talk about the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset, because it's a real thing. It's like there are powerful people in this world that are trying to rig the whole game. And it makes total sense. If I'm a builder in New York City, maybe I pay the Democrats and the Republicans. So if I win, they like me. You know what I'm saying? I get it from a business perspective, but that's just how politics work. And any politician that plays dumb to that, they're probably in on it. That's just obvious, because it's bizarre that they're like, oh, just focus on the Democrats. Where did you get this campaign money from? I'm just saying, it's like, if you got $1 million from Big Pharma, why did they pay you? Do they just like you? Or because I don't get paid for no reason. Like, people pay me. I mean, there's like individual donors and stuff that just give like a super chat, but it's like, if someone offers me like, yo, I'm going to pay you $1,000 to sell this shirt, it's like they're trying to get me to do so, You don't give a politician $1 million for free. You're doing it to gain leverage over that. Everyone knows that. I think that's the easiest example to make it sound less crazy, because sometimes people are like, dude, it sounds crazy that the whole world would be working together. That's a conspiracy theory. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, if you're Nike, you want your product all over the world. If you're a politician that wants power and at a certain point you realize that there's a bigger game to be played, there's always a bigger game. So World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, United Nations, a lot of, lobbying in America where they lobby both sides of politics, the banks. There's some people that kind of just are above politicians. It's not a theory. It's not this like kooky idea. It's just like how the world works. And anybody that doesn't want to talk about that or just sweeps it under the rug, either they're dumb or they're in on it. But nothing to really fear about, but I do think the solution to all of this is, first of all, just live your own life, start your own business, do what you have to do in your own personal family life, whatever. And then it becomes like being not so emotional. Like, this is just my personal perspective, but like when it comes to the Democrats, I'm not trying to be mean, but I just kind of, no offense, like write the whole party off. They're not doing anything right. They're pro-war, they're pro-big government, they're, pro-mandates. Like, it's like the whole Democratic Party, in my opinion, is just a wash. Then you get to the Republican side. There are a lot of people that are starting to push back a little bit, and I would say the people's movement's coming through the right wing in America, but there's still so much emotion. Like, people like love Donald Trump, and they don't, like, I talk to people all the time, and it's like, I'm not saying to hate him or anything, but like your emotional obsession with making excuses for this guy supersedes like logic, reason. Like, I could show you a document that he signed that just proves that he was in on it, but you don't want to see it. So it's like, at a certain point, America gets what it deserves. If people don't want to work hard, if people don't want to put in the work, then you're going to get a Biden or a Trump and a lockdown and an Operation Warp Speed, and then, on to the next one until you really dial in and say no. This was a hard concept for people during the pandemic, but the people who really won big were the people who said, no, I'm not doing it. You can't pay me off. You can't threaten me. You can't take away my stuff, because I don't care. That's how disciplined I am. I don't care if you take away my job. I don't care if you take away my career. You could try to starve me, but I have honor. It's called honor. It's called courage. This is what humans used to have for thousands of years. But now all of a sudden, nobody has honor. Nobody has courage. Everybody just plays politics and goes to a rally, hoorah, goes home, sits. Do you have the honor to just say no to somebody that's trying to press you to do something? That's where the power lies, and I think America will really save itself once enough people play their part. And this is just my personal opinion. The Republican Party is not going to save you. They're not even really trying that hard. They're like half-assing it, and they're just slightly better than Democrats. It's cool. It's worth the vote, but they're not all that. A bunch of phonies, a bunch of like wannabe, Hollywood people that couldn't make it in Hollywood that just go and get attention in politics and stuff. But this turns around when enough people in their own personal life turn it around. And I'm going to end on this note. In America, I personally think people got too complacent in America for the last 3-4 decades, because in America, you had this like picket fence lifestyle, right? If you work a normal job, a middle class job, a working class job in America, unlike a lot of places in the world, this is why this is still a great country. You could have a house. This is like how it used to be. Not so much anymore, but it's like you could have a house, you could have a family, you could have a picket fence, you could have a 401k. The stocks are going to go up, right? So people, I think, in America just got greedy a little bit, and it's like, oh, I'm deserving of this. We're like, this is why I don't connect even with people on both sides, where it's like, I don't know, I have a great work ethic. I've worked for everything I got. I never stop. I'm never going to stop. Like, I don't think I deserve anything. I think everything I've gotten is a blessing because of my hard work, dedication, attitude, and it could go tomorrow. So I never feel too comfortable, because the second you feel comfortable in sports, in anything, that's when you lose. That's when you lose it all. You can't get too comfortable. So in America, I think people got too comfortable, and it kind of bothers me, because I want the middle class to do well. I want the working class to do well. I hate seeing politicians on both sides gouge the working class. It's evil. But at the end of the day, here's what we have to remember. We can't play the victim, because it's like the reason they've gouged us for 40 years is because everybody just assumed, well, I'm American. Well, I was born here, and I deserve this. But it's like there's people in India that are crapping in holes in the ground. It's not guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? It's nice that America's like this, but it's certainly not guaranteed. If you were middle class and working class, or even working lower class in America, you're actually upper class when it comes to the rest of the world. There are people that are like, why do you think so many illegals come to the border? It's like, on one hand, they should build a wall and enforce it, but on another hand, it's because America's a cash cow. Not only can they get handouts from Democrats, but they could work their ass off at a low-wage job in America, live here, and then send money back to South America, Central America, or Mexico, and they're working on a wage that Americans don't want and sending it, splitting it 5 different ways. So it's like this country is amazing. This country is a huge opportunity. And if you're born here, I think it's your patriotic duty not just to vote Republican or root for Trump, but it's your patriotic duty to know that this all goes away if people don't value it. And I think for decades in this country, people haven't valued how much blessings we've had. I think the 90s, 2000s, people just felt like, I deserve this, I deserve more. And I don't ever feel like that. It's like, you don't deserve more unless you work for it. So I think America is not just collapsing because of the Democrats or the rhinos. I think America is a net sum, a collective of how everybody, the work people put in, how much people are willing to work hard, take care of themselves, grind. And I think America is at a stagnant point, and that's why politics is so appealing to people. A lot of people buy into the Democratic Party because it's like, oh, let me just not pay attention to my own life and I'll just blame Donald Trump. Like, it's all orange man bad, and if I blame Donald Trump enough, I live vicariously through Don Lemon and, Rachel Maddow, and it makes me feel good, but it's all fake. It's like, Donald Trump's not stopping you. You got to fix your life. Like, you can't treat him like your ex-boyfriend that you blame all the time. Like, that's the petty left wing. It's like, oh, it's the white nationalists. It's like, it's not. Go do something. You're fine. And then it's like when you get to the right wing, there's some people that are inspired to save the country, but a lot of other people are just like Donald Trump fanboys. It's like, I don't care what he does, how much he lies to me, how much trillions of dollars he signed. I don't care if he, puts capitalism aside for a year for communism and socialism. Maybe he was trying to expose Fauci, or I'm just going to make excuse. It's like, in my opinion, it's just pathetic. It's just like, come on, grow up and, admit that maybe you got duped a little bit, or politics is politics, and move on. But people don't want to do that. They just want to live vicariously through a politician and play this little Star Wars game where they're fighting the good fight. But the fight starts at home, not literally, but you get what I'm saying. It starts with you. It starts with what you do with your business, your life, your work ethic, and America will be great again, and the world will be great again when people stop being so lazy. I don't feel bad for Europe. It's not like they're the victim. They're not the victim. They got lazy as shit for 50 years and people took over their countries. That's what happens when you just sit there. You know what I'm saying? America, I feel the same way. I don't feel like a victim. And even the media doesn't want people that look like me in commercials. Every commercial, it's like white people have been abolished from commercials. That doesn't stop me. I'm not the victim. I don't like these people anyway. It's like, they're not going to block my shine. I'm not going to allow it. That's the type of attitude I have. So it's like, if people had a little bit more of an attitude of I'm not the victim. It's not like the media. Yeah, the media is evil for sure. They're definitely lying, but that's people's job. If they're subverting your kids in school, take your kids out of school. It's not people are like, it's not easy. Nothing's easy. I went on a rant a couple of months ago like this. This is the main thing I heard during the COVID stuff. This isn't easy. This isn't easy. This isn't easy. And once again, I don't want to be a hypocrite because I know it's hard to have a family. It's hard, when you have certain jobs and stuff, things are harder for certain people, no question. But the main thing I kept hearing is it's not easy. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but that doesn't register to me because nothing is easy. So if you're expecting this easy lifestyle, maybe that's the problem, because taking your kids out of public schools is not easy, but also being a top athlete's not easy. Nothing I've done is easy. I worked harder when I was 19 to 21, just rapping, making videos. I've done more work in 2 years of my life than most people do in their entire life. And I've probably done more videos and more work in the last month than most people do in 10 years. So it's like, I don't know what easy is. It's not a thing in my life. So nothing is easy. Nothing worthwhile is easy. Nothing is sustained through easy. Persistence is important. But that's just the main thing I was hearing. It's like, oh, that's not easy. That's not easy. I'm like, it's also not easy to let these people subvert your kids. Now they go off to school, they have purple hair, they hate you, and they're cutting themselves. That's also not easy. So, do you want your kid to be hijacked by the media and the government? Or do you want to do something difficult and protect them from all this degeneracy, or do your best? I don't know. It's definitely it's all hard. Man, it's not easy to lose my job. Yeah, it's also not easy to take a vaccine that you don't want and then know that your boss basically controls your body. That's also difficult, right? It's that's kind of scary too, knowing that you don't even have sovereignty over your body. So it's not easy to lose a job, but at the same time, it's also not easy to take a job where your boss is literally strong arming your physical. So everything in this world is going to be difficult. And that's just what I want to say to America and the world, because I see a lot of people tell certain ethnic groups, it's don't play the victim. It's good advice. I think that's the main problem in a lot of cultural stuff. People are playing the victim. They're crying. They're acting like the world's so bad. And it's that message also goes to us as well, where it's we can't play the victim in America and the world. We have to understand there are global groups. There is tyranny. There is stuff. But, America turns around and the world turns around when the net sum of people, everybody just expects freedom. I deserve this. Why? Why do we deserve freedom? I'm not trying to be a dick, but I don't think America even deserves freedom. It's like, I look at how I have friends that are like MAGA, 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 and then I go out to a store that's trying to force me to wear a mask, and I look at the manager in the face and say, I'm not wearing a mask to walk 10 steps to a seat, and my friend puts his hand on my shoulder and says, hey, bro, let's just put the mask on for 10 seconds to sit at the seat. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm the type of person, like, I'm a warrior. If I had to and I stuck to my guns, I'm willing to lose everything for what I believe in. That's just the type of courage that I have and the type of like discipline I have. So, but I'm not even sacrificing anything. This is what I'm trying to talk about. I'm not on the front lines. I'm not a Vietnam veteran. I'm not doing really shit. Oh, isn't that so hard what you do? No, I've worked on a farm. Farming's hard. Dishwashing's difficult. This is not shit compared to other like real jobs. Serving in the army, that's a real warrior. So it's like, you don't even have to sacrifice that stuff. We're not asking people to go to Afghanistan and fight a war right now. We're asking people to just say no to a restaurant knowing that there's 40 other restaurants in the neighborhood. And 95% of people, even that call themselves conservatives and freedom fighters, they just do this stuff because they want the mini convenience of going to that specific restaurant. It's like, I'm ready to starve for this stuff, and you're not even willing to walk 10 steps to go to another place that deserves your business. So that's kind of how I feel about America, where it's like everybody's just so complacent and everybody thinks they deserve stuff. And I think once we realize that this is all a blessing, freedom's a blessing, the Second Amendment's a blessing, the fact that there's 50 different states, and if you don't like California, you could move to Idaho or Florida, that's a blessing. You know, and I know it sucks to move where you're from, but you know, I don't know. I talked to my family. They came from Italy. They started a trash business here. They didn't even know the language. It's like, shit's not easy. I don't know. You know, if you lived an easy life and you got a nice community, that's awesome. That's great. But it's like, never take it for granted. And everybody takes everything for granted nowadays. And I can't relate to that. So, you know, when it comes to the WHO, when it comes to the World Economic Forum, the Democrats, the rhinos, you know, the real way to win is to win internally. It's just like, be a real one, do what you can in your own personal life, and you'll watch your reality change quicker than anything. Like when Obama was in office, I didn't spend a single second thinking Obama's going to stop my shine. You know, Obama's not going to stop my career. Obama's not going to stop me. He could take my taxes or make my health care worse, but he's not going to stop me. You know, Trump's not going to stop me. From the second that Trump won, I never thought he was going to hurt me or stop me. Oh my God, my whole world's ruined. No, you're scapegoating Donald Trump because you're not doing shit, and it's like the ex-boyfriend. You just want to blame them forever because you don't want to move on. And then it's like when Biden gets in, he's definitely screwing up my stocks. He's definitely raising the gas prices. I would say Biden is the biggest train wreck of a president ever, and he's sabotaging America. But he's still not going to stop me. You know what I'm saying? I'm still not going to let this. If I cower to this loser, then he wins. So I'm not even going to let him stop me. And then, you know, we'll reverse the train and the pendulum will swing in the other direction, and we'll make sure the Republicans do more. So that's just how I feel. And I hope everybody's a little inspired today, and just, you know, don't buy into the fear of any of this stuff. Yeah, you know, billionaires are going to be plotting. Global leaders are going to plot. Politicians are going to plot. But you know, God gave you a life. God gave you the ability to do what you want. And for the most part, although there's crazy crap going on, I still kind of stand by it's one of the greatest times ever to be alive, especially as a business owner, as a news analyst, as a musician, as anybody with any sort of ambition. The internet is a curse and a blessing, but why spend too much time on the curse of it? Just utilize it to the best of your advantage, make the most of it, and you know, your life will be fine. So once everybody gets in that zone, that's really how we win too. Once enough people get in that zone, we're not going to be governable by the World Health Organization. You know, if they say, hey, we're coming to America to put a mask on you, and like 90% of the population looks and it's like, no, you're not. It's over. You know what I'm saying? It ends quicker than any sort of, you know, signature signed and sending it to Ted Cruz. He's not reading that crap. Ted Cruz probably can't even read. He might be dyslexic. It's like he's not reading the thing that you signed against the world. It's like, you know, just ignore these people. Not like ignorantly, but it's like become uncorruptible. You know what I'm saying? Where you're not buyable, you're not lobbyable, you're not. They can't control you based on fear. Just laugh at these idiots. And no, I look at Zelensky or like Klaus Schwab or Biden. I have zero jealousy or like envy of these people. It's not like, oh, I want to be where they are. I think Biden's probably miserable. Everybody hates him. He's a dummy. He wears a mask all the time. Like I look at him and I'm like, he could have all the money and power he wants. I don't for a second wish I was Joe Biden. I'm glad where I am. You know, I don't envy these people at all. I would never want to be them. I would never want to do what they do. You know, money can only buy so much and power can only buy so much. You can't buy integrity. You can't buy, you know, the energy of the world, good people liking you. That comes from authenticity, like your soul, you know, your spirit, your work ethic. So it's like, once you get to that point, you don't want what they're selling, you know? It's like, if you don't want what they're selling, it doesn't matter. They can't sell it to you. So once people get to that point, like, I'm building my own reality. These people are a joke to me. It's just a talking point and something to look at and something to educate people of, but do not buy into the fear. They fuel off of fear. That's how they control people. So if you don't fear them and you don't want what they're selling, then, you know, that's how you really win. Like, I look at Klaus Schwab and I'm just like, what a loser. You know, like, there's nothing the guy can do for me. There's nothing the guy can do against me. He's not taking my house. You know, he's not taking my sovereignty. I'm not listening to him. And so far, so good. You know, it's going to continue to be that way because Klaus Schwab is not God. He's not my daddy, and he's not my governor. You know, he's just a turtle-looking guy who dresses up like Star Wars and talks on a stage, and, you know, billionaires listen to him sometimes, but I'm not listening to him. So, I mean, a little bit, but no, I'm not scared of him. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I appreciate you so much. And I just want to say real quick, obviously the blue beanies are in. Thank you guys. I've had a lot of compliments on the merch recently. It's made in the USA. I don't do trashy stuff. This beanie's awesome. The stitching's great too. And also thank you to everybody on patreon.com/raretalk. I answered questions recently from Patreon, and it's just a way if you want to support. You don't have to. It's all optional, but you know me. I'm just throwing it up there. Appreciate y'all. Share this video if you thought it's interesting. Feel free. You know, I had a lot of clips in here. I don't own some of the clips, so, you know, any shares are fine, and I don't, like, seize content or anything. Like, I know some people are like, this is mine. Everything I do, it is what it is. If you want to take it, share it. You could even really copy it. I'd rather you not, but you get what I'm saying? I'm not really tripping over it as long as the info gets out there. Appreciate y'all. Have a beautiful day, and enjoy yourselves this week. It's almost summer, or it is summer. I don't know. Now it's spring. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not a season expert.